All right, hey guys, so we're talking about rational and irrational numbers. So, first of all, we need to know how to classify our numbers, which are whole numbers. Uh, there's also something called natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, and rational numbers. So, our natural numbers are our counting numbers. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, that would be considered natural or our counting numbers. Whole numbers are our natural numbers plus 0. Integers is our natural numbers plus 0 and our negative numbers. All of this falls under rational numbers, which is all of this plus fractions and decimals. However, there's also something called an irrational number. These are non-repeating decimals. So the pi is a kind of what we call a forever number. So it keeps going and going and going. 3.565565565565565. So it's not rational because although there is a pattern, it's not a repeating pattern. So we have a kind of random order 5 6 5 5 6 5 5 6 6 5 5 5, that kind of thing. If we look at 3.5 5 6 5 5 6 5 5 6 5 5 6 5 5 6, I'm saying 5 5 6 every time, so it's a repeating decimal. So that's kind of the difference here. If you were to look at so one of those things could be a square root. So if you look at your calculator, there's this funky little thing here. It looks kind of like long division. It's not. So turn your calculator on. If I wanted to find the square root of 25, I'd put it in 25, hit square root. It tells me the answer is 5. The square root of 25 would be considered a natural number. But then if I went and said, what about 26? I have 5.0990195. So this actually continues. It stops at 5. But because it's not repeating, because it's crazy mess, it would be considered an irrational number. So we would have to write the square root of 26 in irrational. All right. So this is where your calculator is going to come in real handy. You're going to be able to put in square roots. You're going to be able to put in the random numbers. Pi is a never-ending number. So pi is also, anytime you see this little sign here, that's going to be an irrational number. All right. Now, if we are trying to change a fraction into a decimal, we divide numerator divided by denominator. You should know this. Denominator can never be 0. Why? Because you can't divide by 0. So if we're looking for an equivalent fraction, or we're trying to decide what order things are going to go in, if you're ordering fractions and decimals, it's going to be really important that they're all either decimals or all fractions. So you're going to need to understand how to change a fraction to a decimal and a decimal to a fraction. Typically, it's easiest to turn fractions to decimals. All right. The other thing is being able to order them. So place the following decimal values on the number line, estimate where each number should be, and write it in that spot. Here's the thing. This goes out to the hundredths, this is the tenths, this is the thousandths, hundredths, thousandths. I'm going to make sure they all go out to the same place. So in other words, I'm going to make them all go out to the thousands place by adding zeros. So now I can compare them as hundreds. So I've got 550, I've got 804, I've got 60, 256, 400, and 880. The smallest one, the one closest to 0, would be the 60 thousandths, or 6/100ths. And then we go to 256 thousandths. And then we go to 400 thousandths. And then 550. And then 804. And then 880. All right. One of the biggest mistakes made is that we look at something like 4/10ths, and because it only goes out to the tenths place, we think that means it's smaller than something like 256 thousandths because it looks larger. So we need to forget about what looks are, and we need to think about, okay, let's have them all be equivalent. Let's look at them as hundreds. Let's look at them as tens. All right. If you look at the bottom, in order to compare fractions, we must have a common denominator. So we see 100, 25, 100, and 4. I know I can take 25 and multiply it by 4 to get to 100, which means I can multiply 4 by 25 to get that out of 100. So, in other words, 16/25ths becomes 64/100ths. 3/4 becomes 75/100ths. If I'm going to write these in order, that means I've got 64/100ths, which is 16/25. And then I got 65/100ths, 67/100ths, and last but not least, 3/4, because that is 75/100ths. All right. All I did was change the denominator by multiplying the entire fraction by 4, or by 25 here. That's what you're going to be expected to do. I know y'all got this. You're going to be great. Please use these notes. You have plenty of time, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.